I wanted to talk to you a little bit about 3 areas of policy that I've really tried to focus on. The most important policy-making document that we are responsible for every year is the county's budget. When we pass the budget, we also set the tax rates for the 4 property taxes that the county charges. This year, the overall property tax rate is the 2nd lowest that it's been in the last 10 years. The property tax base is increasing in valuation. We try to balance not only what we are charging in property taxes, but what our budget looks like. We want to make sure that we are putting enough into each department's budget so that we're providing those essential services and supports, but that we are also showing respect for those public tax revenues that are entrusted to us. The county is responsible for over 2,200 miles of roadway, all of the roads that are in the unincorporated county. And if you ever look at a map of District 1, most of District 1 is unincorporated. So most of the roads in District 1 are the responsibility of the county. During my first 2 years as supervisor, I asked my colleagues to infuse some additional funds into our road repair and maintenance program. We were able to do that because of favorable interest rates at the time and also because of the capacity of the road building industry. So in those first 2 years, we were able to repair hundreds additional miles of roadway, but it makes no sense to repair a road and have it fall back into disrepair. So this program also heavily emphasizes maintenance. Back in 2019, when this program was started by the previous board, 70% of the county's roads were found to be in poor or failed condition, 7 out of every 10. And our commitment, not just to repair, but also to maintenance, means that we're not going to allow those roads to fall into disrepair. We have seen throughout this country an extraordinary spike in homelessness. And although there are many reasons for homelessness, the biggest reason is the lack of housing stock. We don't have enough housing in this community, not just at the affordable level. We don't have enough workforce housing. Workforce housing is what you would think of as people's first homes. We don't have enough marketplace housing. And the cost of housing is absolutely extraordinary. Terry and I, when we were first together, we were renters. And when we compare what we paid for rent at a duplex that we shared, we compare that rent to what Caitlin pays for rent on a 1-bedroom apartment. It's extraordinary. Thank you. Let me talk now about the most important policy focus that we have. When you take a look at the issue of intergenerational poverty, and you consider the fact that the majority of people who live in this county, who live in this country, who live in poverty are children, that is not something that any of us should be content with. And yet we have dealt with the issue of intergenerational poverty in this country for decades. And Pima County continues to be a high poverty, low wage county. All of the Democrats on the Board of Supervisors recently voted to put in place a policy framework called the Prosperity Initiative. This is a policy framework that is designed to address issues of intergenerational poverty. We're already doing this. We have a staff member who is looking at our current programs and our current allocations of resources and seeing how well they line up with the 13 policies that are within the policy framework that is the Prosperity Initiative. And you're going to see that reflected in all the budgets that we put out in the future. We'll have metrics associated with anything that we do, because you can't put something in place and not show people how the results are being achieved. Our 2 greatest metrics overall are for people who are living in poverty to decrease their household costs and increase their household assets. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. Taking on issues like intergenerational poverty take time and deliberate thinking. we're going to build on an existing program that is already helping children and their parents who live in poverty. And that is what we have been doing for the last 3 years to provide scholarships so that low-income families can send their kids to preschool. I am very proud of this, and every county in the state could be doing this. The first year of this program, we helped 900 kids who would not have been able to go to preschool otherwise. 900. Second year, we upped that number to 1,400. And this year, we're going to send 1,700 kids to preschool who would not be able to go otherwise. Our goal is ultimately, if you're a family that wants to send your child to preschool, cost will not be a barrier. Terry taught kindergarten for many years. She will tell you she could tell her first day which of her kids had the benefit of preschool and which hadn't. Everything that we know about not just kindergarten readiness, but brain development tells us that this is not a luxury. Because when you invest in one child, what that means to that child and their family, you cannot put a price on that. And if you invest in 1,700 kids, like we are this year, then you're investing in the potential and the future of our community. So I'm very proud of this program, and we're going to use the successes of this program to build on the Prosperity Initiative. So I want to close by sharing a quote with you. How many of you have read John Meacham's outstanding book, The Soul of America? It's excellent. And Meacham says at one point, leadership is the art of the possible. Possibility is determined by whether generosity can triumph over selfishness in the American soul. The very last group of students that I spoke to as an educator were 8th graders at Tortolita Middle School. It was the last school that I worked in before I retired. And I was sending them up to high school. And I said to them, I wish I had figured this out at a younger age. But I know for certain that every hurt that I have ever caused, every mistake that I have ever made, every word I wish I could put back into my mouth, every regret that I carry around in my heart, I can trace back to selfishness. And I really think, therefore, that the most important trait for any leader is selflessness. Now, I often remind people, and I'm happy to remind all of you, that I am the first Democrat to win in this district since 1972. However, most of the Republicans who represented this district from 1976 to 2020 were selfless public servants. But that changed in 2012. That changed in 2012. We elected a supervisor who practiced the politics of discord and division. And all of a sudden, ideological needs jumped in front of the needs of her constituents. And when she decided to step aside in 2020, she tried to anoint her successor. And that person did win the Republican primary, but then we beat him in the general election. And it is looking, from who's filed statements of interest, that we might have a rematch with that gentleman again. And we're not going to go back. We're not going to go back. We have a very important choice to make at the top of the ticket between someone, and I mentioned that I had some of my greatest lessons in this life as a husband and a father. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your support, and need your help to get us over the finish line in November. Thank you.